In this session, I'm going to show you how to create a new content type and attach it to a list. So for those of you that don't know what a content type is, it's a collection of site columns that you can apply to a list. They can also have workflows on them, so it's reusable content that you can use across your site. So just to give you a quick example, if we create a new document library, I'll call it invoices. You'll see that by default, when this document library is created, it's got a name column, it's got modified by, there's a few other hidden ones here. If we wanted to, we could create our own columns on here, so we could have a company name, we could have a invoice number, we could go into quite a bit of detail and adding that metadata. And the reason you might add that metadata is when you've got it added, you can then filter these lists, you can sort them, you can be a bit more creative with them. You could also even attach workflows to that site content type, which might calculate columns for you. So we could add some columns individually on these lists. I could manually create some columns by going into library and library settings, and here you can create additional columns manually. So if you had a number of columns that you wanted to reuse across a number of different templates, so lists and libraries, you might want to create a content type, so you only have to do it once, and any attached workflows or anything like that can be brought across with it. So what I'll do is I'll create a very quick content type with just two simple site columns. So to do that, I'm going to go to site settings, and first I'm going to create the site columns by going to site columns in the web designer gallery. Just go click create. So I'm going to create one called company name, because I want to tag my invoices with the company name, so I can easily sort and filter which company has provided which invoices. I'm going to create a new group. Let's call it invoices. And you can also add in things like lookup lists, and you can make it as complicated as you want those site columns. So I'm going to create another one, call it invoice number. Just going to be another text field just to keep it simple for this. Put it in that same category. So I've got these site columns now, and I could apply those site columns to those lists and libraries if I wanted to. Because I want to associate those site columns together and have them as a content type, I'm going to then create a content type. So by going into site settings and site content types under web designer galleries again, and I'm just going to create a brand new one. I'm going to call it invoice. And the parent content type is going to be the document content types and the document, because it's based on a document library. So I'm going to just inherit those properties plus my additional columns. I'm going to create a new group and call it invoice content types. So now I've got my content type, I'm going to add those site columns that I've already created by going to add from existing site columns. And I've put them in the invoices category so it's easy to find them and add them. Now if I go back to my invoices document library or any other document library, I can now attach this content type. I do that by going to library settings. And first I need to go to advanced settings and turn off the default content types and allow management of them. So I'm going to change that to yes at the top. Click OK. I can now see a list of content types. So there's the default one called documents. I'm going to add another one. So add from existing site columns. And then this is when you can find the content type that you've just created called invoice. Add that. And additionally, if I wanted to, I could have multiple content types in here with different metadata attached to them. I'm going to just change the default order. I'm going to hide the document one and just make the invoice one my content type, because this document library is going to be specifically used for that content type. So if I go back to that library now and try and import some data. So I've got a invoice here that's a Word document. So it now prompts me to add the additional metadata information. save. So it hasn't defaultly added it to this view, but if I want to, I can just quickly modify this view, add those extra columns. So invoice number and company name. Now you can see that this can be quite useful because you can filter these different columns. So I can filter by the company name, I can filter by the invoice number, or I can sort them in a particular order, and also I can search. I can customize my search to search these particular columns.